We told you yesterday that Conor McGregor hints a potential bare-knuckle showdown against Jeremy Stephens. Today, Stephens responds to it and said that he is down to fist-fight his boss Conor McGregor. It seems his boss has scrapped UFC comeback and will instead run for president of Ireland in 2025. Fed up with the charlatans in charge of his native Ireland, he plans to enter the political arena in 2025 to shake up the establishment or dissolve it completely and give the power back to the working class. The man clearly loves his country. It would be awful for MMA fans if we never see him again in the octagon. Talking about why the UFC hasn't booked Conor McGregor's return yet, Jake Paul said on his podcast that the UFC is holding back McGregor from competing for their own advantage, and they do it with all the other fighters. On the same podcast, Francis Ngannou told him to his face that Mike Tyson is going to beat his ass. Talking about Paul vs Tyson, UFC color commentator Joe Rogan admits that while he feels Mike Tyson could still have the ability to KO Jake Paul, he wishes the fight wasn't booked. As Conor's return isn't sure, Jorge Masvidal is willing to end his retirement and come back to the UFC to face Michael Chandler at UFC 310 in December. He also doesn't think Leon Edwards wants to smoke with him. He thinks he still have one more title run left in him. UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier speaks on this news and questions whether or not Jorge Masvidal's planned UFC comeback will bear the fruits of his labor. Masvidal must have gone broke again. I remember when fighters would retire and stay retired. We know Masvidal doesn't have the chance to touch that gold again, but former champion Kamaru Usman has this chance. That's why he continues the trash talk with the champion Belal Muhammad and said he doesn't remember his name. It didn't take long for Muhammad to respond to Usman in a recent tweet. Belal's other potential opponent, Shavkat Rakhmonov, received a call-out from Ian Gary, and the response Gary got from Shavkat isn't "I wanna read loudly." UFC has released the official poster of UFC Vegas 98, which is pretty average. UFC Vegas 97 headliner Gilbert Burns hopes for a war against Sean Brady this weekend, but expect to get him out of there quickly with a vintage performance. Co-headliner of the event Natalia Silva reveals that she is facing Jessica Andrade with heavy heart because she lost her sister during this fight camp. Another news from this weekend's card is that Isaac Dalgarian is now officially the largest betting favorite in UFC history. The final fight of the preliminary card will see featherweights collide when Isaac Dalgarian takes on Brandon Marotte. According to DraftKings, Dalgarian has surpassed Bo Nickel as the biggest favorite going into a fight, as oddsmaker have him as the minus 2400 favorite to Marotte's plus 1200 underdog status. Dalgarian is confident that he will finish Brandon Marotte early and show the world why he is that big of a favorite. Oscar De La Hoya continues spreading hate against Canelo and brands Canelo Alvarez vs Edgar Berlanga, the boxing match nobody asked for. There is a heavy chance that Khabib's cousin Umar Nurmagomedov is next in the line to face the winner of Merab Dvalishvili vs Sean O'Malley. On this take, Merab says Umar doesn't deserve the title shot and Figueiredo is a more worthy next title contender than him, having 3 wins on top contenders. Undefeated contender didn't take long to respond to Dvalishvili's remarks and advised him to focus on Sean O'Malley instead of him. Sean O'Malley also talked about Merab Dvalishvili ahead of UFC 306 and promises to open up the cut that Merab suffered recently. Noche UFC's co-headliner Alexa Grasso calls strawweight champion Zhang Weili her dream fight. She said she has heard Weili wants to come up, so I would love to welcome her in this division. Over the past few months, Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler have gone back and forth on social media. Caught in the crossfire is Dan Hooker, who observed both argue over who had the better win over the Hangman. Well, Hooker has had just about enough of this discourse and took the Combat TV to put both Poirier and Chandler on blast. He goes off on both and urges them to have a rematch. Now some fight announcements. Ryan Spann vs Owen St. Brooks, which was supposed to happen this weekend but was cancelled due to OSP's injury, is rebooked, this time on a better stage as the pair squares off at UFC 307. A new boxing fight is also announced where Adam Azim will face O'Hara Davies in a super lightweight clash on October 19th at the Copper Box Arena in London. Dillian Whyte called out Derek Chisora for a trilogy fight on Instagram today, and if you don't know, he already has 2 wins over Chisora. First was a split decision and second was a round 11 KO. Wonder how we wanna beat him now? Submission? What do you think? Tell me in the comment section. Also subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the fight world. Now I'll see you tomorrow, so till then do whatever you want.